Okay, so once again, very good morning, everyone, and thank you for being patient. Yeah, because of network connectivity, we were not able to start this meeting on time. But as we have everything set up now, let's start our day 6 on web technology workshop. Now, this is the last day. Yesterday, we have started understanding JavaScript, basics of JavaScript, how we write, where we write, and how we access elements from our HTML page. And once we have that element, how we can manipulate that thing. So just before we end yesterday's session, we were working on a form. So we were having entire form ready, which is this one, and along with that form, we were having few validations also. We have seen those validations. So if I say that this field is a required one and user is not filling up this form, then we give a message, error message, something like this: please enter first name, last name, and so please enter email address. Now, if user enters something here, but that's not the valid email address, then this error message will be something different. Please enter valid email address. So how do we check that validity format? Look, we are not comparing this data with a database. So valid doesn't mean that it is actual data, accurate data or something. Here, validity is something like a format. Your email address does follow a format. So something like you have a username, then it must contain @ sign, and then there will be some domain like gmail.com and so on. Now, if this is if your email address follow the perfect format, then there will not be any error. So what we want here is to match our input data with some kind of format of the data. Similarly, like password. Now here it says please enter password. Now if I enter something, then if I'm not following all the rules and regulations for password, then it gives me this kind of error where it says password should contain minimum 8 characters. So that's kind of a format decided for password. It must be minimum 8 character length with at least one number, one small letter, one capital letter, and one special character from this one. So your password must contain these things, otherwise it is not a perfect one. So when I say that, okay, I type one capital character, one small character, one number, one special character. Okay. Now this is 4 characters long, and now something any character, minimum 8 characters. Then it will be it should be perfect. Let me check it. One capital letter, one small letter, then a number and a special character, and then 8 length. Yeah, so there won't be any error now. So those kind of formats we want to check before we submit our data. If that's the case, then what we do here is we go for regular expression. Now that's what the topic we left yesterday, and let us cover that thing first, and then after we are going to cover few JavaScript plugins, right? So for that thing, what we do here is in validations file, we need to write a regular expression. Now this is how we write regular expression. Okay. Now regular expression is not a string. It is not a simple string. It defines a format. So we create one variable. Okay. Email pattern, one variable. Let is again type of a variable which will have a local scope in this function only. Okay. So email pattern is a variable, and I'm assigning my regular expression to that variable. Now, how do we write expression, a regular expression? So, starting and ending, we are going to write slash, and in between the pair of slash signs, we are going to write entire expression. Now, when we write regular expression, it has a pattern to write. So, square bracket defines it's a set of options. Okay, this square bracket defines it's a set of options. So let me write it separately here. Square bracket defines the options. So if within the square bracket, if I write A, B, C, D, E, F, okay, then I can select any one character from this option. So square bracket is defining an option. So this says I can pick A, or I can pick B, or I can pick D, E, or F. Any one character I can select from these options. Now, if I say that I want to have entire alphabet set A, B, C, D, then I can define a range A hyphen Z, Z, A minus Z. So this defines a range A to Z, and that's the small a to z. Then I define capital A to capital Z, so that's the capital ABCD range. Then I define 0 to 9 digits. So what I'm doing is I'm defining different ranges for my options. Now I'm creating my username pattern right now. My username can have capital character, it can have small characters, it can have digits, it can have underscore sign. So I'm preparing a set of options right now. And it can have dot. Now dot has a special meaning in regular expression. So we don't want that special meaning. We want our character dot as it is. So we will go for escape character, backslash 0, sorry, backslash dot. And as you can see, minus sign does have a special meaning, range. So if I want to have this minus sign in my string, then again I'll go for escape character. So backslash minus. Now this is how I define the options. Now from these options, I can pick any one character. Now if I want to have more than one character, then we have few options. We can go for star. Star means 0 or more. Okay. Or else we may go for plus sign. Plus means 1 or more. Minimum 1 letter must be selected from this option set, and maximum as many character you can select as you want. So that's why what we want here is we want plus sign. So that's this part up to this thing. Now after that, our email address will have @ sign, and we'll make it escape character @. And after @ we have a domain, gmail.com or outlook.com, or maybe any other domain, your personal domain, let's say mefgi.co.in and so on. So for that, again we will define a pattern. So Gmail, for that we will define another option set, and it can have all these options, and it can be of any length, so 1 or more, plus sign. Then, so this is like Tejas @Gmail. That's what we have prepared. And if we remove this dot, because Gmail does not have a dot in between. .com we are going to prepare from another pattern set. So for that, again backslash dot, so that defines a dot, and then .com, .uk, .org, something. So after dot, we again need few characters here. So we will use this same set of options. Maybe if we do not allow underscore and let's say digit, as well as a few other characters, and so we have only alphabets in that. and it has a predefined length, let's say .co, .uk or .com, .org. So either 2 or 3 characters we are fixing it. So as you see, star is 0 or more, plus is 1 or more. But if we want to have minimum and maximum range defined, then we may go for curly braces, where we can pass two parameters. First one is minimum 2, and comma, second one is the maximum, let's say 3. So this is how I can have my entire regular expression. So I'll have this in a single line now. Okay, so that's how we prepare our regular expression. Now this is a regular expression. If I match this regular expression with any string, then it is going to compare it with any part of the string. Substring can be matched here. But if I say that I want to match my entire string with this pattern, then I'll say caret sign at the starting point and the dollar sign at the ending of my pattern. So caret defines it is starting point and dollar defines it is ending point. Now when I do this thing, it is going to match my entire string, not the substring. And this is what the pattern I want, so I'll say slash prefix and postfix, and this prepares my entire pattern. Okay, regular expression. Now once we have that regular expression, so we have it here as a variable, then JavaScript has a regular expression object. So when we define this using slash, it actually creates an object of regular expression. And if it is an object, then we have few inbuilt methods available. So like email pattern dot, and then I can access those inbuilt methods. One of those methods is test. We want to test our regular expression on a given data. So whatever user has inserted as an email, we are going to fetch its value and we will test that value with our email pattern. Now this test method is going to return either either true or false. Okay, so based on your condition, you can display your error message or you can remove your error message. Okay, so that's what the regular expression is, and this is how we can use regular expression while we want to match some patterns. Fine. So that's the point we left yesterday, and I cover here. Now as we have a little bit of less time, I'll be directly going to the content of day 6 now. So you can explore regular expressions more, and then you can create any of the regular expression you want. Okay, so that's what the validations on the client side we have covered. Now for today, as I promised, we will be going for some JavaScript plugins to incorporate those plugins in our web page, or using those plugins we want to create our website or something. And I'll be targeting some kind of presentation pages, HTML presentations, so that you can create your own presentations, or even like presentation you can create your website. So for that, let us look at few plugins first. Let me show you a few of those plugins here. One is full screen. Just let me verify. Full screen slider kind of thing. Not a materialized one. or maybe I'll be having some. Okay, I don't have that link here. Let me verify. On a GitHub, it has a full code, full screen slider. So let me find it out here. Yeah, this is the one. So this is the one that I wanted to show you. And this one is the result which you can achieve if you use this kind of plugins. Look, when we say we have a GitHub repository available to access, then all those will be open source and free to use. If some developer keeps it private, then it won't be accessible like this one. So this is the full screen slider plugin. Now, if you go to demo part here and you see that demo, then this is how it looks. This is what you can create. So it's kind of a presentation. You can present your content here. You can have your final title. And when you scroll, this is what happens. Section 2, Section 3, Section 4, Section 5. And you can create as many sections as you want. So these will work like a slide of your presentation, right? So let's say we want to use this one. Then go to GitHub page. Now you can download that entire code from this thing, download a zip, so you'll have all these things available. Now we won't need everything, but you can download the entire zip and then you can extract whatever you want. And when you scroll down, you'll have some of the documentation part if you want to use it some different way. Okay, so we may have those things. Okay, so I have already downloaded this package. So let's go and let us see that package here. Okay, so if possible, let me extract that thing, not from this place. Okay, so let's go to our workshop, Day6 plugins, and here is that thing. So let me extract this part here. And when you explore more, inside that you will find docs. And in docs place, you have your index HTML file and required files, right? So if I double click on this index, it opens in the browser, but there is nothing happening on this one. Now I know what is the problem. If you don't know, what you need to do is you just go for inspect and go for console. And here you will find, if there is any error, you will find this thing. So failed to load resource, and which resource? main.min.css and main.min.js file. So these two files it could not find. So let's fix it out. Okay, so I'll go to my editor, and this is the folder we have extracted. In that we go for docs, and this is the index file. Well, in that one, this is the main.min.css file, and it could not find. Now, because it is going for this folder, full screen slider folder, then CSS folder, and then CSS file. That's not the structure here. We have a direct CSS folder. So let me make that change. We have direct CSS folder, then main.min.css file, and along with that, for your JavaScript file, you have a direct JS folder, and so on. So we save this code, we go back to this page and refresh this one, and we have the result. Yep, so it is working now. So in demo, you have your code ready. So on day 3, or let's say day 4, we looked at how we can edit existing website or template or anything. And then if we want to have something inside those web template, like our content, then we can edit that thing, definitely. right? So what we'll do now is let's just a minute. Yeah. So let us keep everything, this entire folder I'm going to bring in the page 1. So let me go to this thing. This is what the thing we are working with. So I'll copy this thing, and day 6 page 1 I'm going to paste everything here. Okay, so CSS folder does contain one CSS file, then JS folder has one JavaScript file, image folder contains one image. We'll see whether we need it or not. Okay, and data is my own folder that I'm going to bring my data from this thing, because we want to have this content, okay, on that page, right? So we'll use this content in this page. So that's what the folders we have. So I'll go back to page 1, and let's do one thing. Let me bring this photo in the image folder also. So the same photo that we are working since day 1, and we don't want this OGP file, so I'll delete that thing. Okay, so we have everything in our page 1 folder. So now we'll be working on this index file. Let me get rid of unnecessary part right now, because it will confuse you a little bit. So we are not focusing on these parts, metadata, right now. So I'm going to remove that thing. Okay, so now this is again is going to be our resume, and this is the CSS file. Then below your entire code we have JavaScript file, and somewhere in between we have some content. And now what we'll do is let us have this in a live server. So yes, we have everything ready. So we have section 1, section 2, then section 3, and these indicators on the right side, and we have full screen slider title kind of thing here. Yep. So if you remember, we were having on day 3, I think we have created resume, right? Yeah. So let us change this thing. Let us have all these data in our page here. So that's what we want to have now, right? So we'll copy this content and we will bring it in our code. So on a title part, I'm going to have my name, and on a section 1, I'm going to have my name, as well as I'm going to have this address part and email. So heading 2, I'll keep my name, and a paragraph, I'm going to have my address here. Okay, so I'm editing the existing content that we have in this file, right? And now let's say instead of this link, or yeah, we can keep this email as a link there, as a title of our entire page. And in href we can have mail to this email ID. Okay, so now if you start to understand a little bit this content, then everywhere you'll find div or h1 or something, but they have written their CSS code for this look and feel. They have their own classes. L page is the class, then p global header, p global title, p global links, then L contents, p section wrap, p section, then p section header, p section text. All these are the classes that they have already written in their CSS file, and they are also using these classes in the JavaScript file to make it look like a slider and display every section full screen. So what they do is this P section, okay, P section is a class which makes your section look full screen, and other section will be scrolled when we scroll using mouse. So if I save just now and we go to that page, then this is what happens. We have changed this title with email, and on the section 1 we have this name and the address here, and when I scroll down we'll have section 2, section 3, section 4, and so on. Now we are not going to dig in how they achieve this thing. Now this is freely available, open source. We can use this thing. So what we can do is we can use our content here. Let's say this is a paragraph. Fine, let me complete this paragraph at this place, but after that what I have here is my address. So I'm going to use my address tag at this place. Okay, so let's say this is the entire address. Now if I save it and have a look at here, then look, whatever address I have created, it is there. It is showing on every slide because I haven't applied its required class. So when we apply its required class, it is going to behave like a slide. So for that, what we need to do is we need to apply this class here, p section text. So I'm going to apply that class on this address element also and save it. So now your address will be on the slide 1 only, and it will be removed from other slides. Okay. Now if you want to load your image also, let's say before this h2 we want to have our user image, img folder, and within that we have user photo jpg file. Then again we'll have that image here, but it will be there on every section because we haven't applied proper class. So if we want to have that thing, let us apply header class to that image like this one, and now it will be removed from other sections. Okay, and you can obviously work on the styling part. Right now I'm going to write a inline style. You can have a different style.css file and then you can apply those things. So it doesn't matter, it's your choice. Right now let's say in my style I want to have border radius. To make it circle, I'm going to set its border radius to be 50%. So that will be circle now. And now it's perfect. I have my first slide ready. Okay. So how can we have other sections? So definitely you go to this div, p section div, and you edit this part. Section 2, section 3, section 4, section 5. You can create as many sections as you want. So for that, now I'm going to bring my data directly. Other code, I have written that data, p section, and I'm going to copy this p sections from this file, and I'm going to replace section 2, section 3, section 4, and section 5. I'm going to replace all those sections with my data, which I've already created with all those classes. Okay, and inside that what we do is, for experience we have number of p tags and h4 tag with proper class. Then on education we have a table, but again with a table we have applied a proper class, p section text. Then in technical skills we have unordered list, but still with unordered list we have applied a proper class here, right? So let me save this code, and now let us check what happens. So this is the result now. First slide, then this one is the second slide with experience, okay, then a third slide with a table, and a fourth slide with technical skills. Now remember, this plugin by default is having everything aligned center, okay. So every text that you write on your page is going to be aligned center. Now if I want my technical skills to be aligned left, then I have written that thing explicitly as an inline style here, text align left. That's it. Okay, so now let's focus how many sections we have created. The first one is this title, then second one is the experience, third one is the education, and fourth one is the technical skills. So I must have 4 indicators at this place only. I don't have a fifth section. So how they create these indicators? So for that they have this p pager division element here, and for each and every indicator they have this p pager pointer division. So they have created 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 p pager pointers. Now we only want 4, so let us remove the fifth one. And if you create more than 5 sections, then you just copy and paste this line for those many times. So that's one thing. So when I have only 4 divisions, let's have this thing and save it. So on the left side we will have only 4 divisions. Now it is also controllable. So from technical skills, if I go to first one, then it brings me to the first one. Now they have implemented JavaScript for this thing. Hover is maintained using CSS, and click is maintained using JavaScript, and they have their own code to maintain this thing, right? So this is one thing, full screen slider, okay. And this is how you can create your own resume page or a single page website, a static website with some content in it, or you can create your presentations like this one. Now every section is having a different background color here, and what they do is they randomly pick, or they have a mathematical calculation to generate a color code, and they apply this background color. Now how do they apply? If you want to find it out, then you simply right click and go to inspect. Now this is Mozilla browser, so there will be inspect element, okay, and you'll have the same kind of a tray below, so you can inspect those things, and here you will find CSS code, okay. So what you need to find out is when you hover on these code, HTML code, it will highlight your page content. So first thing we may think is maybe P section may have a background color. So click on this line and find out if there is any background color you can find in CSS. Well, there is no background color set here. Then you simply explore this entire page, and you'll come to know that there is a P background class division. Now this is where they set a background color, and this is the background code 236.104.103. And when you change your page, you will see that this content is also being changed. That means what they do is they have P background division with which they set this background color, right? So we found it because of that division. Now where it is somewhere at the bottom place here, P background. They have just created a null div, empty div, and they are using this division to set a background color. If I remove this background division, let me remove it and let me save, then entire thing will be pure white. Now there won't be any background color now. So if you want to remove your background color, you simply remove that that division, and your slide will be much simpler one. So that's how we can create one thing. We have used full screen image slider here, and we brought this content, right? Now another thing I wanted to show you is a very simple JavaScript code, which is bubbly JS. Let me show you the result first, what you can achieve. On a GitHub, it has a repository. You can search for it, and this is what the result you can generate with that bubbly JS file. Okay, so there are number of demos, and there are few settings also with which you can achieve whatever you want, and there are more options you can set by your own if you want to change everything. If you want to change color, background color, number of bubbles, bubble colors, and all those things, if you want to change, then you can do it. Now on GitHub, you can see that it has entire code, and they also do provide CDN link. If we don't want to download that file, then we can use this CDN, and this is how we can use it. A very simple usage. We need to have this script tag, and to initialize that bubbly, we need to write this code. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just have these two lines. Let us copy this thing, and we paste it in our code here after main.js. Let me paste and let me save. Now as I save and I go back to our page, this is what happens. The default blue color, light blue bubbles, and few number of bubbles they have already given to you. So if you don't want that solid background color and you want something like this, you can have it here, right? So that's one more thing. Now for example, let's say we want to now look, this is applied to the body background, so it will be there on every slide. Okay, so it is going to be on the background of your entire website as it is. Fine. So that's one thing. Another thing, let's say we want to change its color and few properties. Then you can go for the documentation part and see other demos, or the configuration part here, where they give you plenty of configuration options. You can set start color, stop color, number of bubbles here, how bubbles will be colored. So there is a bubble function for generating HSLA color code, okay, and randomly it is going to generate those colors. That's also possible, and few other functionalities, how the bubbles will move around on your page and all those things, right? So let's say we want to use this thing, so let me copy this part. And how we can do it? So when we set up this bubbly, we need to have this this entire configuration code. So I'll copy this code and let us bring it here. Instead of setting our bubbly by default as it is, let us set that thing with these options, and let us save this thing. So it sets the starting color, stopping color, then blur level to 1. It composes source over, and it generates the bubble function, different colors here. So let us see the result now. Well, so this is the result. So starting and ending color, and then we have a bubble function which creates few different set of color of bubbles, and you have your own presentation, right? So you can search many presentation skills or HTML presentation things right like this way. For example, let's say if we search HTML presentations, then there are a number of yeah, this is one reveal.js. I'm going to show you that thing just in a little bit after some time. Then I know few names. There is bespoke.js. Okay, there is bespoke.js. Then there is impress.js. Okay, there is few more. You can search for that. So what is bespoke? So this is the bespoke.js. Now you can it is also available on GitHub. You can download that entire source code, go for the demo part, and then you will have this entire setup, and then you edit it to incorporate your code. So someone was asking, sir, what if I want to have a horizontal slider instead of a vertical one? Well, that's not the thing. You can generate a lot more than that. This is how your simple presentation will look like if you use bespoke.js. And it does have few more themes, like if you want to have a simple slider, okay, so you can have it. Or what if you want to have a concave or convex kind of sliders? So you have bespoke.js with all those supports, right? You can explore this thing, download that code, and have a look at the demo, and you will find this thing available for you. And this is how you can generate your slides. So that's one bespoke. Okay, next is impress. Now this is what the impress thing is, kind of a Prezi, right? You might have heard of Prezi presentation. Now this is only HTML presentation, where you can have a simple slide with zoom in zoom out effect and all those things, right? Now this one is impress.js. Now you will also find this thing on a GitHub, so you can download, or you may have a number of examples available on impress.js also. So that's impress.js. Then this one is the reveal, where if you want to have horizontal as well as vertical both sliders. So this is the example of reveal.js, where you have a control below, and even you can control this with the keyboard. So this one is a horizontal slider along with a vertical slider, okay, and it has number of settings available. If you want to highlight step by step, you want to highlight something, then you can do it. You can animate content within your slide and so on, right? So there are number of settings available in this thing. You can change the background of each and every slide, and you can have whatever you want, even your tables, unordered list, ordered list, anything that you want, right? So this one is reveal.js, okay, reveal.js, and this website does have a very good documentation section also, where you can have a demo, you can see how you can use that thing, you can install that thing, and there is a content how you can have everything in your website, what are themes available for this thing, okay. So you may use reveal.js also. Now let us use this reveal.js and create another resume kind of thing with few more settings, and along with this I'm going to show you one more plugin, which is isotope, um, isotope.js, not Wikipedia. Yeah, this is the thing. Isotope, filter and sort thing. So this is another JavaScript plugin which we can use to have some kind of functionality like this. Let's say you have a set of cards or images or something. You have number of things available to show. Now, if you want to filter those things on the same viewport, same page, let's say something like this. I want to filter with metal, with transition, with some letters, or I want to show everything. Also, there is a sort functionality available. Let's say I want to sort these blocks using name or symbols or numbers or show the original order. Within a filterization, I want to sort it. So this is possible. Now you might have looked this thing maybe on let's say we have a image gallery and there we have some kind of categories. So we have all the images available first, and then based on the category we can filter our images. So that is what we can achieve. Now that's one example. You can filter images. That's not the case always. This is simple div. Okay, this is simple division block that they have generated here. So using isotope you can have this sorting or filtering functionality. Along with that, it also gives you the machinery layout. So if you go to layout section here, then this is how the layout it also provides to you. If your block is not having equal width and height, so equal size, if your blocks are having different sizes, then it is going to arrange all your blocks properly, and that is called a machinery layout. So it also gives us this machinery layout support with images or whatever we want, right? So we are going to use this thing isotope.js in that second page, let's say. So these two things we are going to use. Now let me show you how we can do that thing. First of all, let's go to reveal.js installation. And if you want to download that thing, then you can download it from the GitHub page. So you go to GitHub and you'll have the entire repository downloaded, okay? And you save that file and you explore that folder and you'll have that entire code. If you have few other options to set up, then you may go for it, but you right now you don't know what is Node and Gulp and all those things. So let us forget that thing. What we will follow is we will download this entire GitHub project. Now I have already downloaded that thing, so it's available in my plugins folder. We have reveal.js, so let us extract it. And I also have isotope.js, so I'll also extract that thing here. Okay, we have used Bubbly with CDN, content delivery network. If you have downloaded that thing, then you will have this kind of a folder. You extract it and you'll have that JavaScript file within this zip folder. Well, so let's work on this reveal file, reveal.js now. If you go inside and if you look at this index file, then it gives you the very basic setup with two slides. Okay, there are two slides properly set up. Now we can start our project with that normal slide maybe if you want. Okay, so where it is in plugin reveal.js and the index.html file. Now this is the file we were looking at. So first of all, let us understand what is the structure that they follow. How do they achieve those things? So title is okay. Now what they have is they have three different style sheets here. One is to reset everything. Reset is nothing like we were doing star pseudo selector. and universal selector, and then we were setting margin 0, padding 0, and all those things. So that is resetting everything. Then they have their own reveal CSS file, and then they have a theme also, black CSS theme. So these three CSS files they use. Now these three files are important to focus here. Then in the body section, when we look at, we have a parent div with class reveal, and then inside that parent div we have another div with class slides. Look, this is plural, okay? Multiple slides you can have inside this division. And then we have two sections. Now, which means any number of sections that you create within this div is going to work like a slide. So if I simply copy this code and I generate few more sections here, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and I save this thing, and now let's have a look at this file with this live server. Then we will be having those many slides. So now you say that, sir, this is very easy to create and easy to understand also. It has very less number of classes to apply, right? So only parent div must have reveal, and child of reveal must have a slides class, and within slides any number of sections you can generate. Okay. And you can also nest your sections. For example, on a third slide, let's say I want to have internal sections. Now when I do that thing, let's say in slide, this is 3.1 and this is 3.2, and let's save this thing. Now when I generate nested sections, it gives me up and down control, right? So if it is if it is a root level section, then you will have a horizontal control. But for a third slide, I have a nested section, so I have up and down control, right? So that's how you can have root level slides for horizontal, and you can nest your section to have up and down controls. So this is how we can generate any number of slides, and in all those slides we can keep our code. Now to make that happen, they have also written some code. So they have their own JavaScript file. Then right now we actually need not to have these nodes, markdown and highlight JS. So let me get rid of this. Okay, because we are not using those nodes, or we are not marking any content there. Now if I don't want to use those plugins, then I'll also remove these plugin dependencies, because I don't want markdown, I don't want highlight, I don't want nodes. Then I can remove this thing also. Hash true is even I can remove. So you can see this is how you can initialize your thing. A very basic JavaScript file you can use, and this is how you initialize it, and you have that slide ready. Okay, so that's one thing. Now you can populate these slides with your content now with some themes. Now let us have a look at few themes also. So they have used black theme here. There are a few more themes like beige, blood, league, moon, night, serif theme, simple theme, sky theme, and so on. You just change the theme name, theme CSS, save it, then you will have a different kind of theme to your slide. Now theme only contains a background, some font sizes and font colors. Okay, theme contains that thing only: background color of your slide, fonts, and font size and font colors. Other than that, you need to write your own CSS. Okay, so that's what the theme contains, and this is a very basic setup. Now what you can do is you can copy this index file, index.html file, from this folder, and we need to have this dist folder, distribution folder, and it is there in the same folder we have here. So dist, and inside this dist folder we have theme, then CSS and JS available. So you copy this dist folder and you copy this index file and you bring it to your own folder where you want to work on. So well, I have done that thing also. So let's go to page 2. This is where we want to work on. Okay, so now let us work on this code. Right now we haven't integrated that thing here. So let us see how this page looks. It's a very basic content only. Nothing is there, nothing fancy there. So first of all, what we want is we want to make this work with a reveal. So how do we do that? We just need to have those CSS and JS code. So we need to have these CSS. So I'll copy these 3 CSS in my head section, and I'll have a proper link. Instead of dist folder, I have CSS folder directly. So I'll go for CSS, and I don't have reset file there, so let me get rid of reset. I don't want it. In my CSS I have themes, reveal and style. So in my CSS I have reveal CSS, and inside that I have themes. So we can also use sky theme here. Let us save that part. So we have used 2 CSS files only. Then below that we need this thing. So we need to have our JavaScript file and we need to initialize that thing. So we'll copy those lines and we will bring those things at the end of our body part here. So let me have this JavaScript file. Now where do we have it? So inside JS folder we have reveal.js file. So I'll make that link properly, js/reveal.js file, and then I will initialize that thing. So once I save this, it should change my page here. Well, it is not changing. Let's have a look at what is the problem. We go to console, yeah, and here we have E is null. In reveal.js we have some problem, right? So for that, let me identify what is the problem there. Maybe oh yeah, I've loaded that JavaScript file, but I haven't changed my structure to work like a reveal in body section. So for that, what we need to change here is we need to have these 2 divisions. One parent div must have class reveal, and inside that we must have slides. So I'm going to copy these 2 divisions now, and we will keep inside our body section. Now if we start these 2 divs, then definitely we need to close those divs at the end. So here I'm going to close those 2 divisions. Okay, and let us save. Now this is the change we have. Okay, and now I have horizontal control on every content. So whatever text I was having, I have made it to slide. Now let's say I don't want to use this thing, I want to use another theme. So I can simply change this theme to let's say moon.css, and it will be looking something different. Font has been changed, color has been changed. If you don't like moon, then you can play with other themes also. Let's say you want to have solarized theme. So you just change the theme file, and this is how it looks. And if you say that I don't want any of the theme given by Reveal, then you simply remove this theme. We don't want to use it. We will work on our own content, right? So this is the default look and feel we have. Now let's say I don't want to use that theme, but I want to use my own CSS file, and that's what I have already, style.css. Now let me show you what is there in the style.css file. I've already written that thing because we want to have a font of our choice. On day 3, we learned how we can have a Google Fonts here, right? So day 3, we looked at Google Fonts, searching those Google Fonts and importing those Google Fonts in our page. So this is how you import Google Fonts. Then I'm resetting everything here, margin, padding, box size. I set the fonts and line height. After that, for body, I set a font size, and then I have H1 to H5 font size and line height set. So this is what I have set right now. Till now, this is the only code I have in my CSS file. So let me save everything, and now let us have a look at the content. So we have something different now. We have set fonts, which looks perfectly for us. Okay. A few more things, let's say we want in this CSS file. Then let's say we want to set a background color of our entire presentation to something. So what we can do is we can inspect, and we can find out a proper class. There will be slide background like this one. Inside your slides, you have slide background div. Now this is where we can set our background color if we want. So right now the background color is 0000, so it is purely black color with transparency, full transparent. So we can override this class in our CSS. Okay, so let me go to code, CSS file, and let us override that thing here. So I'm going to use the same class, but here I will define a background color to be pure black, let's say, and save it. So now we have a pure black color, but our content is there, it is not being displayed. So let's make our content white. So everything I'm going to make white color. So in star universal selector, I'll set color to be triple F, which is white, and this is how it looks now. Okay, so now we have changed our theme to black theme. Instead of going for the default theme given to us, we have changed our theme by our own. So that's one thing. Now for example, let's say I want to have everything left aligned. Okay, then we are using sections. So let us set text align to be left on all the sections. So now everything will be left aligned here. Okay, so we have left aligned content, and to me it looks something decent, let's say. So let us keep this as it is. That was one thing. Now for example, let's say we want to have now this entire CV is related to some photographer, let's say. So we want to have that person image on this first slide. Now when you go to this Reveal documentation, and if you go to this backgrounds documentation section, then you will see how you can set each section having a different background color. So you can set each section with data background color attribute, and then you give it a name or you give it a color code to set that color on a background. Yeah, so this is how it works. Every section will have their own background color. If you want, you can define data background color attribute on each section. Or else, let's say we want to have image as a background, then we may have data background image attribute. So let us use this thing. Let's say I want to have a background image on my first section. So I'll go to code, HTML, and this is the first section for me, where I have a person name and all those things. So on this first section, I'm going to have that data background image attribute, and we are going to define image URL here, just like this one. You can have entire URL, or you can have a relative path. You can also have a background video and few video related properties, whether you want to loop it, you want to mute it, or what should be the opacity and all those things. So you explore this documentation part and you'll learn everything whatever you want. Now let's say I want to use one image which I have already in my images folder and photo1.jpg. So for that, we'll go for the relative path here, images, and inside that images we will have photo1.jpg file. Let us save it and let's have a look at what result we have. So on our first slide, on the background we have a person photograph. So we actually load that image on the background of this first slide only. When I go to second slide, there is nothing. It is pure black background. Okay, just a minute. Yeah, sorry for keep you waiting. So we have only background on the first slide, and now we are working on, let's say, this way. So you can change background color, or you can set background images using this reveal.js, using this way. So that's how you can set up a slideshow, or you can set up presentation, you can set up resume kind of thing like this. And if you want to work on the look and feel of any content, then now we also know how we can set our own CSS here. So we can write our own CSS file, and we just need to use that CSS file here in the head section. So that was one thing, reveal.js plugin. Now till now we have seen full screen slider, we have seen bubbly, we have seen reveal.js. Now let us now have a look at isotope.js. So for example, for that to work, let us have few images loaded here. On the second slide, where I'm displaying my work and with few buttons, let us have one division which contains few more divs with images. So let me save this code. Now, by the way, that was commented till now, and now I remove that comments. So we will have those images here. Yep. So we have those images at this place, and I do have all those images, but right now this slide is not. We cannot scroll this slide downward. So let's work on that div on our CSS. So whatever grid we have here, let us work on that grid now, and grid items and all those things. So first of all, let's say if I want to have a scrolling part, then we will create one more div with, let's say, album class, and let's say I keep everything inside that album, okay, to show you the scroll bar there. So let's work on this album now. It's a class album, and here I'm going to set its height to be something like let's say 60 viewport height VH. Okay, so now let us set its overflow hidden, so it won't be shown now. And now when or instead of overflow hidden, if I say overflow auto, then I'll have a scroll bar here. This is what the difference. Okay, so what I've done, I have created one division here, and I have set its height, fixed height. So this album is having 60 viewport height here. And when I say overflow auto, automatically it creates a scroll bar for me. So we have all those images here now, right? Now next thing, let us work on this grid. Now, instead of having those images one after another, what I want is I want this grid to display flex. So everything will be in a single line. But when I said display flex, let us have flex wrap. We have seen that thing in the fourth day, I think. Flex wrap to be wrap. So next image will be in the second line. And let us justify content to be spaced evenly. Okay. Now we won't have any effect right now because our images are larger. So let's work on images now. Our images are inside this grid item. Okay. So what we'll do is we will set a grid item a fixed width. And I'm going to set its width to be, let's say if I want 4 columns, then even size will be 25%. So that's the division, and inside this division we have our img tag, right? So now I'm going to say that my image width will be 100% of its parent, and save it. Now you will see this difference. So we 25%, 25, 25, 25 makes it 100. So we have 4 images in single line, and we have a scroll bar. Now here we need isotop, because first 3 images are let's say landscape images, and the fourth one is the portrait image. So aspect ratio is different. Now because of this fourth image, next image at the second line keeps this empty space. Now here comes the machinery layout. If we want to set a machinery layout, if we want these images to take this empty space, then we may use machinery layout. And after that, after converting that machinery layout, we will also work on these buttons, okay, so that this filter will work properly. And those things we can achieve from let's say isotop. So first of all, I'll go to isotop documentation here. Now how can we use this thing? So for that, what we need to do is we have already downloaded isotop, right? So let me show you. In the plugins folder, we have isotop. You download it, you extract that thing, and inside that isotop you will have a distribution. And from this distribution, you just pick one file, this isotop package minified file. You can pick any one of these. Let us have a minified file. So copy this file and bring that file to your JS folder. Well, I have that thing already. So inside my JS folder, I have that isotop package minified JS file. So we are going to use this JavaScript, and if we want to use that JavaScript, then we go to the bottom part of our page and let us have that JavaScript here with source equals to, inside my JS folder I have that isotop min JS file, right? Now once we have that that isotop file, we want to initialize that isotop. Now how do we initialize it? So when you explore this this isotop website, you will see this is how you can set it up. Okay, now when you say when you see $sign, it is jQuery. The jQuery is a JavaScript framework. So if you want to use jQuery, then you need to have jQuery additionally. When you scroll down a little bit more, getting started, you will see some code here, and here it says initialize with jQuery. So you will require jQuery, and then you can write this code. Initialize with vanilla JavaScript. So if you don't want to use jQuery, then you can write this code to initialize it, where you take your parent div, then you set up a new isotop object, and then you can have some options also, right? Or else you may initialize it with data isotop attribute also with these options. So there are a number of options you can achieve that thing. Let's say we want to use jQuery here, for example. Then I need to use I need to have a jQuery also. So we'll go for Google and we'll have a jQuery. Very quickly I'm going to have jQuery because we do have a less time. We will use jQuery CDN. Okay, I'm not going to download it. I'll directly use CDN for that. The latest version 351 minified file, and I'm going to use this script tag. Copy it, go to your code, and before you use isotop, we need to have jQuery. I'm going to have jQuery here first. Now once I include that JavaScript file of jQuery, I have that jQuery available. That's it. So what next we can do? Now if we already have jQuery, then we can initialize that thing with this much part. So let us copy this thing, okay, and let's go to our code, and in our own script let us paste that much part here. So what it says, dollar indicates we are using jQuery. Now jQuery gives you functionalities like instead of going for get element by ID or query selector and all those things, you can directly write dollar and your class or ID here. This is equivalent to get element by ID or get element by class name or get element by tag name or query selector function. So it will give me one element which is having class grid, and deliberately I have used this class div here because I wanted to use it as a grid and a grid item. Okay, so we go to code, we use that grid element, parent element, and then we set a isotop plugin which comes from this JavaScript, and we need to define item selector here. Okay, item selector, and item selector will be your child div grid item. That's what we will require. Layout mode is not necessary, but let us see what happens right now when we do this thing. So I save that code and we go to our page and we see nothing happens till now. Okay, now let us remove this layout mode and we go to documentation, and now we go to layout, and here what we will do is we will set a layout for that thing properly with machinery. So when you go to documentation, here you will find how you can set machinery layout. Okay, so what you do is you set a machinery layout using this much part. So we go to our code and we'll paste that code here. So this is how we set machinery layout. And column width, we are going to have just like a grid item. I'm going to use the same thing, and let's save this thing now. So this will set a machinery layout, and let us have a look at the effect. So now there is no more extra space, and these things have set up properly, right? So that's one thing, machinery layout. Another thing that we want is to go for the filters. So we go to filter and we look at here what they do for these filters. So what they say is you need to have selectors. On your items, you need to have some classes, okay, like transition or metal. These kind of classes you need to apply. And then when you want to filter it, you can set isotope filter to that class. And we need to trigger this code based on a button click. Okay, when we click on some button, we want to trigger this thing. So on click, we need to execute this much part. And if we use jQuery selectors, then we may go for this thing also. Okay, so they have their own functions if we want, and UI part have. So this is what we are going to follow. UI, we have a button group and we have some buttons. So I have those things ready. We have this button div, and there are a few buttons here. So what we'll do is we will use this class button group on our div. Okay, and then on each button we are going to set data filter like this one. So on each button I'm going to set my data filter. Now star means everything, but wherever we want to have some different filters, instead of star we are going to set those filter names. Now these filter names must match with your filter classes. So I'm going to use the same name just like these categories. Okay, so we have buttons with data filters. Next, what we want is we need to set up that button group click event, and we need to trigger that filter code, right? So I'm going to use this this much code, and let us bring that code here. Now as you see, there is a $sign, which means it makes use of jQuery. It is selecting your button group, and inside your button group, when you click a button, it sets a function. This is the listener, and inside that listener it accesses the attribute data filter, and with that value it is going to set your filter on isotope. Okay, so this is the code. Now what we'll do here is let us apply those filters in our items. So for first families, let's say whatever image coming from families, I need to have those classes applied here. Fine. So I'm going to apply the same filter name as a class on those grid items. Then I have few landscapes. So let us apply landscapes class. Then we have some paths. So I'm going to apply the same class for paths here. We have some seniors. So we apply those classes here. And we have few images based on weddings. So we apply wedding class on these items and save. So that's it. That's the setup we want. We need to have. So now if I go to this page and if I click on these buttons, it should filter those things. Now it is not making those things available for me because there is one more setup we need to have, and that's in the isotope options. We need to define few filters here. Okay, and if you go to documentation part, it will also tell you where you should define those filters. Yep. On the top maybe somewhere. Yeah, when we set up our isotope, we need to define all the filters as an option. Okay, so what filters we are using? We are using um, let me bring all those filter values. We are using families, we are using weddings, we are using landscape, we are using seniors, and we are using pets, right? So these filters we are using. So let me bring those filters to this line, and those are the classes actually. So dot families, dot weddings, dot landscape, then dot seniors, and dot pets, because dot defines I'm using those filters as a class, and that is what the setup we want. So now if we go to our page and if we click on these things, still it is not working. Let's find out what is the problem. Go to console and you will see there are few errors. References $grid not defined. Okay, $grid might be the case from CDN. jQuery has not been loaded yet, so let's say I'm going to work with jQuery properly. When jQuery is loaded properly, then I'm going to load everything properly here. Still there is a problem. $grid is not defined on HTML line 165. If I click there, yeah, this is where, okay, one more thing we forgot. To make it work, we need to define this as one variable, grid, because I want to use this variable in this function later on. Yeah, we forgot that part. So I declare a variable here, and then I use that variable in a separate function. That was the missing part. And now we have some filters. Now those filters are not working properly because I believe we need to follow the small letters only. Not F, pets. Oh, what am I doing? Yeah, families, then weddings, landscapes, seniors, and pets. Okay, and let me quickly make those changes here also. And few changes at this place. So when we save everything, I believe this should work now. Still there is some problem. Let's identify what is the problem here. No JavaScript errors, so filters are not properly being applied at this place. Oh, I forgot to use the dot sign in the buttons also. We need to have dot sign at this data filter also. Then it should work. Yeah, so these are the families. Then these are the landscapes. We have changed the W small. These are the seniors and these are the pads. So now filter is also working here. Okay, and show all. So that's what the filter we can have and in our page. Yeah. So this is how we can set up everything. You just follow the documentation properly, then you will see that your buttons need to have that dot here. Yeah? Data filter dot metal dot transition. So I forgot to use this dot. That was the reason it was not working earlier. Well, so these are few things. There are number of JavaScript plugins freely available. I'm going to put one text file in the shared folder with all the links. So you can have you can create charts. Sorry, not only chart.js. So you can have different charts using JavaScript. Like this, you can generate charts. For that, what you need to do is you need to use chart.js, and you can find its documentation from this place, and it has a proper documentation what you need to do and where you need to write. Definitely we need to explore these documents, we need to read these documents to understand everything, but we have something ready-made available, then we can use it. So there are charts available. There are number of animations also available. Let's say there is one animation JavaScript available. If you want to animate your content, go for documentation and you will see how you animate those things, right? And you'll have its code on the right side. Okay, so you can use any of these things in your website, explore these documentation and do it. So that's it for now. Let me post attendance Google form. This Google form will be available for 15 minutes only. So once we complete everything, you may fill this form. And this is where we end up actually. Okay, so we have Professor Rachit Advaryu available here maybe. So he'll be going for the closing talk. And from my side, thank you everyone. Thank you for having me these many days and attending my sessions. We'll also have one feedback form we will share you. So just give up your feedback. That will help us to understand what kind of changes and what kind of inputs we need to include if we go for further this kind of workshops. Okay, so let me see if Professor Rachit is available here. Yeah, Rachit sir, you may unmute now.
Yeah, good morning, sir. Sir,
Yeah.
I think first let us complete with the question answer session if there is any queries from the students.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Sorry. Let me
Yeah.
have a look at the chat box once. So if there is any query, we can explore. Yeah, Ashish was asking related to email pattern curly bracket 2 3 what it means. So curly bracket defines the range or the limitation minimum and maximum. Minimum 2 letters and maximum 3 letters. from the given option set. Okay, that's what the curly braces do. Then Vicky is asking caret sign, cap. Okay, caret indicates it's the starting of the string, and the dollar indicates it's the ending of the string. So if you write caret and dollar, then it is going to compare the entire string from starting to end. It is going to match your entire string. So those were a few queries related to pattern. Can I use pattern like Gmail in many different way? Well, you look, pattern is something like a format of your string. It is not the actual string. You can generate a format, and you can use that format to match or to compare your strings with that pattern. Okay. Can I use left to right slideshow? Sonu, I believe now you have that answer. If you go for reveal JS, you have left to right, top to bottom, both transitions available. Okay. Then, yeah, Shubham is asking, sir, we make this type of web using Adobe XD. Look, Adobe XD is one kind of a, let's say, software, comes from Adobe website. Adobe Shoot contains all those things. Using Adobe XD, you can design your web pages, and you can have some mock flows also. But it's not pure HTML. Even I believe you can export those project to HTML content probably. Yes, it's easy to make it if you know what is Adobe XD and how to use it. Many of you might not be knowing what is Adobe XD, and for them it will be complex. What about backend? Tilahun is asking. Well, backend is again a separate domain. It will require minimum 1 week to understand, and if you require in future, we may have another workshop on the backend technologies. Yeah, thank you, Parth. Thank you for your response here. Please see to recording day 2 workshop. It is not uploaded fully from the beginning. Yeah, on the day 2, we faced some network related problem, and in between, recording has been stopped. So initial part of something is missing there. I'm sorry for that, but I have shared my entire content in the Google Drive. So you can have a look at that code, okay? Yeah, Ravi is asking, we have made web pages, but how we can make website? Look, those web pages is your website. A website is nothing but a web page, maybe single page or maybe multiple page. Now, if you deploy it somewhere which can be accessed from anywhere on the internet, then we call it a website. So you can deploy your web pages on GitHub repository and make it work like a website, or you can have a hosting space and you deploy your web pages there, then it will be a website, nothing else. Yeah, Rachit sir has shared feedback form list on the chat box. Please have a look at it. I'm again going to share it with everyone. This is the feedback form. So please spend some time to fill this feedback form. This feedback form will be available till Monday, 3 o'clock. Okay. We are going to close this feedback form on Monday. So till Monday, you have time to fill this feedback form. Yeah, Shubham, on backend, you can use ASP.NET also, if you know. So, okay, these were the queries I can see on the chat box. Thank you, everyone. And back to you, Rachit sir.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir. So, on behalf of Marwari University Computer Engineering and Information Technology Department, I first thank Professor Tejas Chauhan sir for conducting such a wonderful workshop on front-end web development using HTML5, CSS3, and JavaScript. Students, I hope you would have enjoyed this workshop. You would have learned too much things that you might be not knowing actually in the earlier stages. So the main agenda of this workshop was to make you aware with designing of web pages and websites. So I hope you would have enjoyed. And I again thank you all to support this particular workshop with a huge numbers. So thank you very much, all the students. And again, thanking you, Professor Tejas Chauhan, for conducting a wonderful workshop.
Yeah,
I
thank
hope
you.
we will arrange such type of workshops in future, as well as you will participate with this enthusiasm in future also. So with this note, I conclude this workshop and end this workshop completely. Thank you very much, guys. Do provide the feedback, your valuable feedback, right? Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank
Over to
you.
you, Tejas.
Yeah, thank you everyone. Some students is still asking for attendance form. So let me paste that link one more time. This is the attendance link, and make sure that you mark your attendance within 15 minutes. After that, we are going to close that thing. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, and hope to see you in the next one again. Thank you, and bye-bye.